Good evening, all. I'm Rohit Raghavan, and I'm going to present today's puzzles. And today is 21 November 2024, and I'm going to present you with the new sets of puzzles which have been shared today in the main group of Nilgiri Chess Club. Okay, so let's start. Today, I have sent five puzzles and additionally three positional puzzles as well. So let's look at them one by one. This may be a bit longer or maybe also a two-part video. So please try to bear with me and understand the concepts that are involved here. There is no major thing as such concepts, but these puzzles involve a bit of understanding with regards to the squares, the concept of squares, coordinate geometry, everything comes into the picture with a uh, with a what should we say, a good sense of application. So let's get started. This is the first puzzle. Here you see actually white is down by a bishop, down by a knight. I mean, this knight on d5 is an extra piece, but at the same time, if you look at activity, this bishop is completely undeveloped and it is useless as of now. Whereas this bishop on g2 is very, very strong as it pins this d5 knight to the rook on a8. So this knight, let's say, moves to c3. You have the threat of this bishop takes a8 instantly. Threat. You have the threat. That's it, what I have said. Threat means you can play this, but there are some conditions. Okay. I mean, it's not like if you play, it would be an absolute damage or not. We are not talking about damages here. Threat means there is an opportunity for the opponent to do something. Okay. So that's how it goes. This knight is a surplus piece, but actually position of black is quite miserable because this queen on a6 is actually doing nothing. It's just controlling two useless squares, two useless files and ranks, and it is blocked by this on c4 pawn, so it does not exercise any direct influence on e2. It can only give queen b6 check. This f file is open, so it can give a queen b6 check. But it's white to move now, so we have to focus on what white has to play here. Okay, if you notice, this f file is completely open for both the kings, and this bishop on g2 is doing a fantastic job. Okay, so we can capture it for free if you count the number of attackers. Queen and bishop are two attackers, whereas this rook on d8 is only a single defender. So basically, we can capture this knight using this bishop and give a check, and this king will go to h8 here. That's one possibility. Okay, and the second possibility is even more lethal, and this involves a deeper delving of the position. Okay, now let me show you some of the important controls that are being exercised by the key pieces of white. Okay, this queen is attacking on d5. This bishop on b4 crucially is attacking on f8. This rook is also pointing on f8, and this rook seems redundant at this point, but majorly this bishop. So these four pieces. So if you see the idea, these four pieces control the entire board, entire geometry of the board, and these four pieces are the ones which are which have to work in tandem to generate the mating threat. So, as I said earlier, bishop d5 is one option, but he can just slide his king over to h8 and he will not get back rank mated because rook f8 is met by rook takes f8, bishop takes f8, and rook b8 comes. White is having a very good, pleasant position, but black is out of the choppy waters. Okay, and it will be easier for black to defend as well. That's one thing. But can we think of something more aggressive? Something that involves this and this attack or this attack, something which involves a very forceful attack on the uh, black king. Okay. Yes, we can think of it, and we can actually use a concept which is known as overloading. Overloading is a concept which is often used in chess and which is considered to be part of a discovered attack. What does overloading say is basically overloading and deflection tactics. These are two different things, but they work often in tandem. What does it say is I'm sacrificing a piece which is of greater worth of material and which, if not captured by force, will generate a checkmate sequence more often than not, or generate an even greater material disadvantage in the next move. So instead of uh, capturing that piece, if you move any other piece, then you are likely to incur a major loss. That's what overloading and discovered attack says. And in this case, it's actually true. So the correct move is queen takes d5 check. This check on d5 attacks this rook on d8 directly, gives a check, and if you notice, this rook is also attacked. So we have a tripod of triangles here. Okay. This triangle is of 4 units, this triangle is also of 4 units, and this is of 3 units. So 3, 4, I hope you know the Pythagoras theorem. 3, this is 4, and this is 3. So this must be 5, right? I hope you know it. So basically, what I'm saying is this right angle triangle is so superior now, and white will win. Now you say, okay, this rook on d5 is actually trying to capture this. Well, that's the trick, because now you see this bishop on f8, rook on f8 work in tandem to deliver this fantastic checkmate. Rook on f8 is a beautiful, beautiful checkmate to end the game. And what if you don't play something like, if you play something like bishop e6 here, then that's actually not a problem, because you can just take this queen. I mean, you can take this, and thereafter you can just give this, but then queen d6 kind of moves also come in. So that's one issue. But in general, you can also go on with taking this, and then if he plays queen d6, you play bishop c5, you just guard it. So I think the better line, queen takes d5, king h8 is curtains, queen d8, and bishop e6 is best line, because it both the rooks protect each other, as well as this bishop is also coming out to protect this pawn, protect this queen, and his king has been blocked off check, and this bishop is being protected by the queen. So safest move, because we have to consider this queen b6 check as well. Safest move is to take this bishop, and thereafter if queen b6 comes, you can just play bishop c5. At this point, you are threatening this rook, and you are threatening the queen. So queen has to move somewhere. Let's say to b8, most forcing moves. Then you have e6. If he goes to b8, then e6 hangs. And if he goes somewhere like a6, then a8 hangs. And thereafter, it's just curtains. And I mean, whatever you play, it's just over. Basically, you can just even trade the queens here. Or if you have to go more aggressive and slam bam, you can just smash through the door with rook a1 followed by rook a7 and finish off the game in style in a few moves. Okay, so correct answer is queen takes d5, which deserves a brilliancy, which actually deserves a brilliancy here. Queen d5 is a beautiful, beautiful finish to the game and hammer blow to black's positional disadvantage. So here we go, second puzzle. This is again a white to move puzzle, and basically what it says is this king on h5 is quite miserable, and even though it feels like there is no way to break open through the doors of this heavily guarded pawns, but actually, since it's white to move and white is also like facing an attack here, is attack on f2 is guarded by the rook, and then e4 f3, all are being prevented. So basically, he has to move something like bishop f3, or even something like queen d2, rook c1, and then queen h1 mate. So in order to stop all this, white has to do something immediate, something slam bam, and he has no way to enter with the queen from this angle or from this angle, because those squares are guarded by the bishops strongly. Hence, all they have to do is they have to enter through this, or they have to enter through this via check. If this f5 pawn magically disappears. So it is tough to spot this move actually first up, because what you have to understand is you have to blow up the cover on that g6. Okay, if you blow the cover up, then you have the queen f7. Okay, that's one move. And basically, if you somehow play something which blows up this cover and exposes this diagonal, then you have queen f7, king h6, or something like that, or even queen f5 can also land here. So I can only see one possible square, one possible move which actually blows up this cover, and that is rook takes f5 check. Another brilliant move, okay, because it forces black to have only two options, either king g4, which is the main line, or gf5. If gf5, then queen takes f5, this g file cover is fully blown up, and we use to an advantage to deliver a very pleasing checkmate. And this is the main line, and this is why the game actually holds significance. Here you can either play rook f4 or even rook g5, but rook g5 seems to be pretty quick. So let's go on to this, because rook f4 actually allows king h5 to come back, and it may cause a bit of complication. So let's go to the direct mode. King f3 not possible, only king h3. And now only one move is there, which is this queen has to give check. f5 is not possible because this cover has not been blown up. But another check, this c8. Can you see this diagonal? I hope you can. And this is the diagonal. This is the trapezium that we are drawing actually. So this is the trapezium that we are drawing. This queen comes to c8, directly aims at this black king with a sniper shoot. And believe it or not, it's a checkmate down. Bishop d7, queen takes d7, queen g4, queen takes g4. GG, well played. That's what it is. So the correct answer is the brilliant rook takes f5 sacrifice with a check. Okay, let's move on to the third puzzle. This is also a white to move puzzle. And here the material is even, two pawns, knight, two rooks, as well as rook on a6, b3, c2, a3, and knight on f3. Now observe the fact that this rook actually has a semi-open rank. We actually talk about semi-open files a lot, but this is a semi-open rank. And if this f6 is not there, then knight g5 kind of threats are possible. Okay, besides rook takes h6, obviously. But since this f6 is there, it's actually there, right? So can we, I just have one question. This f6 pawn is there. Can we still play knight g5 here? You will say, what the hell are you talking? I mean, have you been gone insane or mad to play knight and give up a free pawn, a free knight, free pony for just a charity, just a show, right? So that's not the case. Actually, if you see, this rook has been unintentionally or intentionally been opened up by the black king, by the black person, without understanding the full consequences. Can you see this monster rook on b3? Can we just swing it over to b7 and give a check? And suddenly black king has no moves, but he has to go to king g8 followed by rook a8, and that's a checkmate. Surprise, surprise. Just one move, rook takes e8, and that's game over. What started out to be an equal position just went astray for the black pieces. That's too bad. know, just very, very pathetic to see. But that's how it is. Chess is life. Life is chess. So, okay. H takes g5, as we showed. Rook g7, rook b7, followed by rook a8, closes off the game completely. And now you see, are we still insane? Why should we take this? Okay, we should not take. Go king g6. Then I am happy to have this knight take c4 on the board. Then you have to play knight c3, knight c4, or even knight d1 for that matter. Both moves are possible. And if you play something like king c3, if you take, we take. And if you don't take and just play something like this, I will just take this rook and thereafter convert it into a healthy advantage in the end game. Okay, knight f6, targeting this d4 pawn, and it's gonna be over pretty soon. That's it. Two pawns, plus knight, plus rook. This knight, whole knight doesn't stand any chance, and black can resign at this point. So knight g5 is a hammer blow, which kind of completely pushes white off the roof to become a champion, and black is gone under debris in spite of having an equal position. Sometimes it's not about the material equality, it's also about the quality of pieces that are being employed. And in this case, if you see this white rook on a6 is so active that it restricts the movement of this king into g6 f5, if not for this f6 pawn. If this f6 pawn was not there as we showed, then there was no king g6, no king f5, and white pieces are just placed at the right place at the right time to exploit this weakness beautifully. A very, very good puzzle. Next up, we have the fourth puzzle. This also involves a similar tactic, and you see, open file, and this is a very, very cagey position with the only advantage of bishop on f5 is controlling c8. So it's white to move, and the hint is you have to try a forcing move, like we showed in the first puzzle, where you have this rook f8 idea. You have to apply a similar overloading idea at this point. Overloading is the idea. I have given you a hint. You can just say. So the hint is overloading, and overloading and deflection are the hints. And here we go. This is the overloading that I was talking about. Knight b7 is a fantastic move again. Thing is, if you take this, I have rook c8 as a checkmate. Surprise, surprise. And if you don't take this, you play rook takes c1. It's actually not possible because it's an illegal move. And if you can also not play king d7. If you play king e8, thank you. Thank you for your gracious gift. Bishop says knight and king d8. Rook takes c7, followed by something like bishop takes c5. Not very accurate. You can just play knight b5 for your convenience, and then king b6. Maybe a bit of conundrum here and there. a4, a6, and knight a3. That's it. You can save this way, or dynamically you can also go bishop e5, where he goes rook e5, pawn e5, this, and maybe like something like f4 might work, or you can just simply slide over to e1. I hope you found the puzzles interesting. Let's move on to the last puzzle of the day. This is a positional puzzle, and I will cover the positional in the next video, but we will just look at a glimpse of how to solve this one. So you see, bishop on a3, bishop on b5. Two bishops are there with the white. The objective is white has to draw here. Okay, let me write the objective. White to move and draw. That's the objective here. So white has to just move. And basically, why it's a draw? Because as I said in the previous puzzle, sometimes it's not only about the number of pieces or the value of pieces that you hold on. It's actually about the position, about the quality of the pieces that are being employed at your arsenal. Okay, so even though black is down by a bishop, but you see this white bishop is on queen side doing nothing, and this pawn on g2 is equivalent to a queen. Can you believe it? Because black has a clear plan that he has to go bishop h2 and then promote this to a queen. Do we have any legal idea or any kind of idea to stop it? Let's explore. To a normal human eye, the moves like bishop c5 come to the fore on the first step. Why? Let me explain the logic to you step by step. Okay, bishop h2, one move, g1 queen, another move. Okay, so in this position, you have to stop this g1 without any purpose, without any hesitation. So here there are two lines. Firstly, bishop c5 we have to explore, and black's idea is clear. He goes to bishop h2 and promotes to a queen. White tries to sneak in with an f4 here. f4 or f3 both are equally good. Okay, then he has e takes g takes f3. This is known as n passant. I'll write it down for you guys. Many of you don't know this rule. So n passant rule has been applied because the it's obvious because this C g4 and g2 both are on the same squares, and sometimes the connected passes are more than enough for a checkmate. Okay, so now the threat is they are threatening to go g2, and after bishop takes h2, then g1 queen, and then a draw. Okay, and here basically the even greater threat is black aims to go bishop g3 so as to drive this king backwards so that f2 and g1 queen comes into 4. Let me show you an example. Like for example, I play bishop e8 here. Okay, then bishop g3 comes, and if you block this with bishop, I will not capture this. Capturing is a blunder. Okay, I will mark it with a big blunder. But instead of capturing this, you have to promote it to a queen, and notice that this bishop cannot take them. And you are completely dead lost here, and it's game over. Okay, this is a blunder actually. So after g takes f3, the only move to save this bishop g3 check is bishop h2. So bishop f2 allows does not allow black to place bishop g3, but black is a tricky player and a good player of defending. He knows the art of defense very well, so he will not buckle down. He plays bishop f4 with the idea of going bishop g5 and bishop h4. Again, the same idea of promoting to a queen. Okay, here at this point, you start to run out of ideas because whatever move you play, you have to play slowly. For example, if you play c5, which is, you know, a desperate attempt to thwart black's progress, he goes bishop g5 and he clearly says he wants to go bishop h4 now. So you have to rush in with bishop f1 here. And if he plays bishop f4, then no matter what you do, even if you take this on bishop g2, he will just take this, the pawn, and this is kind of, doomed position. But once again, we can go back. You can say, can we go bishop g3 check and place our king to f2? Well, the problem is that's also a very good idea. And bishop g3, king b7, and king f2 is a draw. Okay, but you might be wondering about one more detail which I did not miss but wanted you to see here. Okay, so what did I miss here? Did you look at that carefully? I think we know the it's king b7, As I said, bg5 was the idea, and if you go bg3 here, then there is a strong possibility that he goes king b7 and king f2. These are, if you hope that the ball have been stopped, then you are immediately miscoached. And then c5 comes in, and it's an end. So basically, what you have to do is, if you play bishop f2, you have to play bishop f4, aiming for bg5. Sorry, aiming for bg5 and bishop h4. If you play c5, he goes bg5 with the aim. And if you sneak in with an intermediate check, then king b7, king f2 is a blunder because of bishop e3 check. Okay, it's a zugzwang. It's kind of a deflection tactic, and you make a queen. And it's a winning position for black. So that is not possible. And in other lines, like something like bishop f1 or something like this, you have bd2 here. That's an excellent resource. And you have to take this by force, and you have just promoted to a queen with the threat, and obviously the b5, and this pawn also marches forward. It's just mayhem for white here. So actually, what's the correct move? So bishop c5 actually holds wrong here, because black will continue with bishop h2 and he will start to win. There is also another intriguing thing, g3. G3 actually is a draw, because what you can do is basically you can just go king e2. Okay, and believe it or not, it's a draw. If you take this bishop f2, h2, there is no issues. c5 can be met quite easily, and no matter where you go, it's just gonna come. And bishop h2, bishop g3, all these moves lead to a draw. Okay, so the only winning line on bishop c5 is bishop h2, where black walks a tightrope. f4, ef3, bishop f2, only move again, bishop f4, c5, bg5, and here you are in a zugzwang with white, because bishop f1 leads to bishop e2 check, and bishop g3 check leads to king b7, followed by, if you go king f2, bishop e3 is overwhelmingly strong. Otherwise, you have to go bishop f2 and then bishop h4 pins the bishop, and there is no way to stop as well. The queen comes in triumphantly. So bishop f2, bishop h2 is the only winning line for the black team. So this was the whole explanation of the puzzle. First step. This was just one variation. But shall we move on to the actual variation here? Let's move. The actual correct move here is, it's hard to imagine, but just to try to visualize how to reach here, how to stop this pawn exponentially. There has to be some way, right? And the some way is play anti-chess. Anti-chess is the ways to go. d6 check. Let's just promote this variation. You're sacrificing one pawn. Then you give up this bishop as well. Okay, d6. I will put a single exclamation mark in there. And every move, believe it or not, is an exclamation here. bd6 deserves a double exclamation, because this idea is very difficult to capture if you don't have the required knowledge of the same. Okay, c5, again, good move. King takes c5, bishop f1, brilliant move. That's just superb, right? You can take this and then bishop f2. Now, bishop h2 is the last ditch trick for white here, sorry, for black here, and he hopes that you play king g2 so that his bishop can get out as well, and he will reach forward with the king here, and here, and you are in a zugzwang. You lose this pawn, and this g pawn promotes. He is trying for this last rich trick. Now, king g2. Sorry for the change. King g2 is actually, believe it or not, a game-losing blunder. Why? Because king g2 actually lets this bishop out on this diagonal anywhere, d6, for example. Now, whatever you do, you play this, I play this, it's a slow burn process. And once you go king e2, it's kind of doomed on you. Bishop c5, bishop f2. And as we discussed in our this thing, what do we say, endgame series, this is a clear win for white. So you play king e3, okay. Sorry, not king h3, but king h1. Then you go with bishop c5 here, king f2, bd6, okay. And thereafter, if you go king h1, there is king e2, king g2, king e3, king h1, king f3, or even king g1, king f3, and this goes out of the hand now. It's actually winning g2, this bishop c5, queen, checkmate. Okay, so that's how the things go. This is the correct idea. Sacrifice, exclamation, and this completely fills the position with complete void. So I hope you understood all the puzzles, and I hope that you loved them as well and got a lot of understanding of the same. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching the video, and see you all soon. Thanks.